What is going on, guys? Johnny on the track back with another new video here. And now we know the format to determine a champion in 2026 for the NASCAR Cup Series. So I'm going to take this video right now. I know it's a little early, but I mean, the Clash is in 2 Sundays, and then the Daytona 500 is not too far behind. So I am going to take this time to make my predictions for the 16 drivers at this very moment that I believe will qualify for the chase to have a chance to win the NASCAR Cup Series championship. I looked back on last year in the video I made and the playoff predictions I had when NASCAR had the playoffs last year, and I got 12 of 16 right. I had Keselowski, who missed. I had Gibbs, who missed. I had Kyle Busch, who missed. And then for some reason, I had Todd Gilliland, I think because I thought he was going to win a super speedway. So I missed those four. And obviously, Bubba made it. Cindric was in. Josh Berry and Austin Dillon rounded out the top 16 for the playoffs last year. So 12 of 16. I mean, not bad, I guess. I would have liked to be a little bit better than that, quite frankly. But we'll take it, I guess. So let's try to go perfect this year. I'm going to try to go 16 for 16 for drivers that will qualify for the chase. I kind of went for, there's no winning you're in, right? So I took this as let's find, in my opinion, the 16 best drivers this year. No kind of wild card winners. Who are in my opinion, the best 16 at this point right now coming into the season that I feel like can compete and be good and consistent, but also possibly get, stage points and, wins, right, to get that extra 55-point bonus now. So that's what I'm looking at here. So let's start with some of the easy ones. So number one, Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson will absolutely the champion of last year. He will absolutely make the chase. He can balance wins. He can balance consistency. We know how fast he is. So barring suspension or getting injured, which knock on wood, that happens to none of these drivers that I list. I think that Kyle Larson is going to be a lock for years and years to come. So Kyle Larson is in. His teammate William Byron will make the chase as well. Championship four contender or championship four driver last year was right there. Probably you could make an argument the most consistent driver from start of the season to the finish of the season. Got the wins, was consistent, showed you he could do it all and really make that stride. I think he is one of, if not, three or four that I have kind of bucketed to actually win the championship and take home the chase. He would be in that bucket for me, but William Byron is in. His teammate Chase Elliott is also in at my number three here. Again, now we get more of consistency, which I think Chase Elliott has shown you the past few seasons. Yes, the wins have been down, but the consistency has absolutely been there. I think this format really favors Chase Elliott perfectly. I think, again, he's one of those. You might have three or four guys picked out that you say these are the guys. These are the four guys that I feel like one of these four will get the championship. If he's not in that four, he's just a fringe below that. Again, I think the way that the format is laid out in 2026, it plays perfectly into Elliott and that team's hands. Now, we have to outline the fact that there's going to be a new Camaro, so a little different with some of the front of the car. So maybe a little bit of learning throughout the season for some of these Hendrick drivers, but they'll find their stride. And when it comes game time in the chase, those final 10 races, these are the guys that you want circled on your list. So Chase Elliott is in. Denny Hamlin will be in again. Should have been last year's champion, in my opinion. If not for the guy that I just mentioned 2 drivers ago, William Byron, getting that late race caution. But, yes, Denny Hamlin's going to have a lot of kind of pressure and weight on his shoulders, just from, the retirement and what's kind of gone on this past off season. But he's still Denny Hamlin. He's still, driving a JGR Toyota. He will be in the chase. Christopher Bell, again, I think a lot of people prior to last season thought he was the guy taking the reins at JGR. I think Denny kind of took them back a little bit with the season that Denny had, the wins, the top fives. But Christopher Bell did rattle off, three early wins, right? Three in a row, as a matter of fact. So Bell is absolutely going to be a championship threat. Although, throughout some of those summer months and where we saw a little bit of a Bell slump, he still was very consistent. And again, I think this plays perfectly into his hands. So one of those guys that can balance it all. Bell wins consistency. So he's a lock. I think Chase Briscoe is a lock. We saw how good Briscoe can be when you give him an opportunity with a good car, with good equipment, with a good team and support system around him. Chase Briscoe was spectacular. He was my breakout performer. I thought he was going to be a championship threat and make the championship four. He did exactly that. Chase Briscoe will be back next year, off that just career season, multiple wins. One of the one of the most rather top fives in the sport last year. Just spectacular year for Chase Briscoe and that 19 team. Let's talk a Penske driver, Ryan Blaney. I think if I had to just put one out there right now, I think he's the championship threat and favorite, and I would pick him at this moment to win the championship. Now that might change as the season goes on, but Ryan Blaney, in my opinion, has really just been the class of Penske in the kind of model of speed at so many different styles of tracks. Blaney can do it at mile and a half. He can do it at those kind of larger 2 mile tracks with the higher horsepower. He can do it at short track. He's shown, hey, he can even stick around up front at road courses. Ryan Blaney, to me, is everything you're looking for in a driver and a championship contender. Ryan Blaney will absolutely be in the chase. I'm going to talk both 2311 drivers right now, Reddick and Bubba. Reddick, down year, did not have a win last year in the Cup Series, but he was very consistent. 14 top tens, 7 top fives. So overall, and finished ninth in the final standings when it was all said and done. I think Reddick is going to have some wins this season, one at least, maybe two. I think just, some years you find consistency and you lose kind of winning. To me, that was Reddick. Still consistent. Not a great season by all means. Still only 7 top fives, but I think overall, I expect Reddick to be back and have a win or two, and bump up some of those top 5 and top 10 numbers. And Bubba Wallace, a career year, got the win at the Brickyard, 6 top fives, 14 top 10. So pretty similar season to his teammate, who I think is you stack Bubba against Reddick because for the past couple of years, it was Reddick doing the damage in the playoffs, doing the damage winning races. But Bubba got the win, was spectacular in my opinion for most of the season. I think that was a big turning point for Bubba. Again, even the year before, when Bubba didn't win, he was consistent. So I think overall that this format fits right into his wheelhouse as well. All right, here's where things can get a little funky. But I'm going to go with my number 10. I'm going to say Joey Logano makes it. Even year Logano is usually a guy that makes the championship four and wins the championship. He's done it quite a bit now. But I know overall, if you look at the numbers, especially last year, they were down 13 top tens, only 7 top fives. I mean, you look at his teammate Ryan Blaney, 15 top fives. So over double the top fives of Logano, and 19 top tens, which was good for third in the sport. Overall, I just feel like that he will be back, Joey Logano, and he's going to come out with a different mindset. Paul Wolf is such a good crew chief. I mean, I remember I talked to him for about, I don't know, 5 minutes at New Hampshire, and I got so much insight just from asking him a couple questions. He is so smart. He is so talented, and he's got Joey Logano. I think that team is going to kind of fix their expectations and race with a new purpose around let's be more consistent. And I think at that point, wins will come. I think Logano pushes sometimes to try to, we know he's an aggressive driver. And with that, I think he just pushes to try to, do too much behind the wheel. I think with a new format like this, Logano can be a little bit more cool, calm, collected behind the wheel and have a more consistent season, which I think honestly will benefit him in terms of wins as well. Number 11, Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman is an interesting one to me because I feel like you could go both ways with Bowman. The pressure is on for the number 48 team this season, and especially Alex Bowman. But I'll tell you what, I mean, he was consistent last year. You look at the numbers, he had 16 top tens, which was good for, I think, fourth, tied fourth. Not many people had more than that. 18, 19, I see 22. But I mean, he had 16 top tens and six top fives. You'd like to see that top five number get up there a bit more, especially when you look at a guy like Byron who had 11, Larson who had 15, and even Chase Elliott who had 11 as well. But I mean, again, like Bowman was fairly consistent throughout the duration of the season. And I just feel like when you're looking at a consistency based format, you usually have to put all the JGR cars or most of the JGR cars, most of the Penske cars, and all the Hendrick cars in. I think you just have to play it there. And even with Bowman not having a win, he still made the playoffs, right? He still finished 13th in the final standings. So I'm gonna say that Alex Bowman gets the job done. I just hope that he can win a race or two this season because that's the question with him. We know he can score top fives and top tens, but can he be a winner? Can he make a run for the championship? I mean, that's the bottom line with this guy. And if he can't, they're gonna find somebody new at some point. But I think Alex Bowman is safe. I think he will make the chase in 2026. I'm going to bang out two here. Busher, to me, perfect format for him. Top 10 guy who runs around, 7th to 15th, doesn't really have a lot of DNFs, can have a breakout race or two. But I think this format fits perfectly into Chris Busher's driving style. He was just out of the playoffs last year, would have pointed his way. Him and his teammate Ryan Preece would have pointed their way in, if not for Barry and Dylan and Cindric winning. But I think, Busher, 16 top tens, again, really consistent last year, can show you some speed, had five top fives, had a win the year before, three wins the year prior, so can win in the next gen era. We know that, and again, I think this format fits him quite well. And I am going to make the bold prediction to say that Brad Keselowski will be a part of the chase in 2026. The thing with Brad Keselowski really the last few seasons is he hasn't been able to put together a full season. He, gets hot late, or he is a flash in the pan, or he might struggle in waves and then, pop off in other waves, right? It's kind of a lot of ups and downs or finding it late for Brad Keselowski. That's what it was last year. He didn't really find true speed until the end of the season when throughout the playoffs, if you look at Brad's numbers, he was one of the better drivers in the sport at that point. And I feel like as long if he can mimic that, I think he is a lock for the chase. He had 13 top tens, and a lot of those came in the second half of the season, and even more of those came, throughout the playoffs. Brad Keselowski's start to the season was abysmal. Here's how he started: 26th, 39th, 15th, 33rd, 11th, 26th, 26th, 33rd, 16th, 36th, 28th, 37th. So just terrible. And then basically from like Dover on, 10th, 5th, 3rd, 9th, 2nd, 8th, 10th, 10th, 2nd, 5th at Charlotte. It just a lot of top fives and a lot of top tens scattered. He didn't have his first top 10 last year until the Coke 600 in on May of 20 Yeah, in May 25th. That was when he had his first top 10 last year. But again, kind of from Charlotte on, stretch it maybe a little bit to Dover, he was spectacular. I mean, he was one of the better and consistent guys on a weekly basis. And I feel like that is the Brad that I expect to see in 2026. And when we do see that, he will make the chase. That's my opinion. I think Brad's due up for a win this year. He obviously had one at Darlington 2 seasons ago. And I think we're going to see a resurgence for Brad. Chastain, I have in as my number 14. So this is 14. We got two more after this. I think he is the lone track house driver that makes it in. I think SVG is going to be very, very close because I think SVG can win three races. I still have him only winning three. I think somebody else is going to steal a road course and Zilich is going to steal one. But I think overall, like SVG is going to make strides and still have, some dominant, whatever, like 75-point performances, which I think can go a long way for him. But the lone trackhouse driver I have in the chase is Ross Chastain, just because I feel like he can do it at a larger array of tracks. Now, if you look at the numbers, wasn't great. Only 12 top tens, which really was one of the lowest for qualified playoff drivers last year. Only SVG, Cindric, Dillon, and Barry were lower in terms of total top tens throughout the season. You're looking at, Brad had more, Ryan Preece had more, Busher had more. Kyle Busch almost had as many as Ross Chastain. So, I don't love Chastain. I think he's going to be right on the fringe, maybe that 15, 16 guy that slots in just based on, a lot of good runs at mile-and-a-half tracks. But this team needs to make a stride. They really do. I think Ross Chastain is so good for the sport. I think he is, really well with was received with the fans. I think he's got a great sponsor with Bush. I think we need him to be a lot better than he's been the last couple, or yeah, really the last couple of seasons. So I'd love to see a resurgence here from Ross Chastain. But I think he's just going to be fairly consistent, have a similar style season to last year, find a win somewhere, get around 13, 14 top tens, 6, 7 top fives, and roll right into the playoffs or roll right into the chase rather, as one of those final seeds. So Chastain to me is in. Hocevar, I have in. Now, the biggest problem with me with Carson Hocevar is the consistency factor. He's too aggressive. He can quickly rack up DNFs. Honestly, so can Ross Chastain, quite frankly. But that's the biggest issue with Hocevar to me is the DNFs. He's got the speed, he's got the talent, he's got the team and crew around him, in my opinion, from what I saw last year. He's just got to be more consistent and keep it clean. He can't push. He's got to relax a little bit. The same thing I said with Logano. He's got to let races come to him a little bit more, especially now where, a win isn't everything. Okay, Carson, if you're battling in the top five and you're going to make a stupid move, know that it's now going to cost you, points, which are the way in to this format to even win a championship. I understand you can do that when, a win is your lock into a chance at a championship. That's not the case anymore. I think Carson Hocevar is going to come to terms with that and grip that and understand, okay, that makes sense. I get it. And so, in my opinion, I think Hocevar will be more consistent, and the speed to me is going to be there for him to find his way in. I think he again he's going to slide in as like a 15, a 14, or a 16 seed. That to me is where I see Hocevar qualifying. Okay, final spot. Who have I not mentioned? Ty Gibbs, I haven't mentioned. Austin Cindric, I haven't mentioned. SVG, Connor Zilich, Kyle Busch, Michael McDowell, Austin Dillon, Josh Berry. A lot of guys that I have not mentioned just yet, but I am going to go with my heart, and I'm going to go with a guy that, if we had this format last year, would have qualified for the chase. And I think he is going to be, the same with some of these other guys, the Hocevar and Chastain. one of, if not the last guy to slot in. I'm going to go with Ryan Preece as my 16 slot. He had a career season. He had a consistent season. He did not have a lot of DNFs, 14 top 10s, which was a career high. Only had three top fives, but did have a pole in there as well. I think Ryan Preece, if he just mimics the season that he had last year, and, it's tough to just say that and get behind that for a couple reasons. One, you know, everybody else is going to most likely take a step up, you would assume, especially some of those fringe guys. Also, at some point, your luck runs out. I think Ryan Preece was really lucky last year to not have as many DNFs as he had, but he pointed his way overall in the top 16 last year, and that came with a race that he was disqualified in that he scored a second place finish. So, I mean, this was a guy that was like solidly in the top 16. And with that, I feel like the momentum is there. I believe in RFK. I think they're going to take a step up. I think this format favors RFK a lot better than, most of or some of these other fringe teams. I think, winning you're in favors RCR more. It favors Spire more. It favors Legacy more. But the consistent aspect, I think, favors RFK more, who proved, no, we couldn't win, but we could be consistent. Him and Busher both. Busher again with the 16 top 10s, Priest with the 14. So Priest, if he can just mimic, like I said, his season last year, I think that's enough to get him in to the chase. I'll go again, just like some of these honorable mentions. Ty Gibbs, you got to show me something first. I got to see it to believe it. He was inconsistent last year, up and down, a lot of DNFs, didn't really show speed at a lot of racetracks. I'm going to favor some of these other guys that I think have shown better flashes or are more consistent. Kyle Busch, I think he wins and gets in victory lane. I hope that he gets in the chase, but the consistency factor, speeding on pit road, bad luck, having an error on pit road, whatever it may be. It's just you need to be consistent, and I don't see it. SVG again, I think he'll get close, but he has to be better on, a large breadth of the tracks, and haven't seen it just yet. Dylan, he can win races, but he's not consistent enough. Barry, I think that was a flash in the pan. I don't think Barry can be as consistent as he was last year. Though I do think he could steal another win. I mean, New Hampshire was a place that he was right on Blaney's, butt, if you will, or we'll just say bumper, I guess, for the, last half of that race, and almost won. Cindric, another guy not consistent enough. I expect Cindric to get a win at a super speedway, but other than that, just not enough speed. McDowell, same thing. I think he can pull out a win at a super speedway or perhaps a road course, but the consistency factor for McDowell scares me. I think again that previous format favored him much more than this one did. So my 16: Larson, Byron, Elliott, Hamlin, Bell, Briscoe, Blaney, Reddick, Wallace, Logano, Bowman, Busher, Brad, Chastain, Hocevar, and my guy Ryan Preece make your 16 drivers who will bring back the NASCAR Chase and compete for a NASCAR Cup Series championship. Super excited. Want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Who am I missing? Who do you think from this list is in and not, and out? And some of those fringe guys, who do you have in? Tell me it all. Am I crazy? Put that in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, give a like. Goes a long way for the channel. And please, as always, subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.